What's the future going to look like? I'm very jazzed about branded entertainment. I've been a big proponent. 7 years ago, I said video's the big thing. Now I'm saying branded entertainment's a big thing. SPUG, I've coined semi-professional user-generated, where you're having people, you're controlling the experience, helping them film it, and online reality programming. We're back to the lean back, where the internet is going to merge with television. And all the different boxes that allow you to access television through your, television programming through your television, through the internet, and Orb TV is an example of one that can't be blocked. So they can get anything through that, $99 for a box. And I truly believe that Xbox and Wii are going to take over the home. I think they're going to be introducing a new platform that will replace all these boxes, and that's the plan of these two companies, to own the home, the living room. And it's becoming an unlimited channel universe. Cloud computing gives you the ability to watch anything anywhere. And then there's this whole talk about beyond content. What can you do when you're programming and producing content that's going to be pushed online, on television, and engage with the consumer from especially to Raj's point, a social media aspect. You've got to engage them. It's now a pull environment, and it's on demand, and they want to be able to be engaged with the programming as well. And still, in the online world, short-form content rules. Yet, a lot of traditional broadcasters are still pushing their long-form programming online and not producing a lot of short-form. So I live in the world where advertising dollars drive my business and drive my content plays. So branded content for me is kind of where the world is at, and if I can produce some really cool, funny programming as a result of that and get it paid for, which we've done fairly successfully, that's awesome. I'm going to show you. I want to just throw this video in because I think it's really cool, and it's kind of what I believe not to do in branded content, but there's a lot of money in it.
Bomb earlier this year. And on this week's Home Depot Heroes Tribute, we're joined now live in the studio by Andrew's mother, Linda Johnson. Linda, thank you very much for coming in and spending some time with us this morning.
Thank you very much. I appreciate the chance to talk about my son.
Tell us a little bit about Andrew, Linda.
Well, he was just the sweetest boy and liked to help people.
I imagine he liked to help you out around the house, maybe with some home renovation projects?
Right. I'm sure he must have enjoyed carpentry.
Well, he did. He would help me whenever I needed something.
Oh, that's great. That's great.
You must be so proud of his service, Linda.
It is men like him that make America the best damn place in the world to build and maintain a home.
Well, I am very proud of him.
How old was he, 20?
Yes, he was just 20.
So young. I had just bought my first pair of Klein Journeyman pliers when I was that age.
What were some of his favorite tools?
He never mentioned much about tools. I don't know. He liked to hang out with his friends.
But from the pictures, it looks to me like he's the kind of guy that would really like that Bosch dual bevel slide miter saw with laser tracking.
That's a great saw. When was the last time you spoke with Andrew? Did you talk about, home repair or appliances?
Well, the last time I spoke with him was about a week before he died, and we really just spoke about our family and his base and things like that, not about renovations.
There's so few Home Depots in Iraq. I can only imagine how awful it must be to live there.
Have you built him a memorial deck yet?
Stop it.
Memorial deck? What is that? I don't think I know what that is.
It's a very respectful and functional way to pay tribute to a loved one who has passed. And you have a lot of selections. If you go into the Home Depot, they will show you around. You have the TimberTech earthwood.
Right.
You have the Vertigrain planks, or even the Honey Deck modular wood tiling. But, of course, you would choose depending on what Andrew might have preferred in life.
It's such a beautiful tribute. You really should consider it, Linda.
I'm sure it is, but we really don't have any plans to build a deck yet, and we haven't even touched his bedroom yet.
Well, I'm sure you're going to do some great things with it, because on behalf of the Onion News Network, we're going to be giving your family one of these.
Look at this.
A DeWalt 14 compact drill kit, courtesy of Home Depot.
That packs a lot of power there, almost 15 volts of power, Linda. That is quite an impressive drill.
Thank you.
So that's what you don't do. I mean, that's a parody that you cannot find online anymore. It's been pulled.
I wonder why.
Yeah. I think the U.S. government forced the Onion News Network to pull that off. But I think it's funny. I show that to every client that I talk to about branded content. And it really gets the drift across that you don't need to, push your point home. You can do really great creative programming and create some, and with an editorial integrity, and produce some great branded content. So anyway, that's what I'm jazzed. I think that's the movement and where the ad dollars, and it's going to support the programming that we need to create in Canada.
Excellent. So something just short of that, just a little bit more subtle than that, ideally. I just want to, I'm going to ask a couple of questions, but I want to also open it up to to you guys, even though I can't see you, for any questions that you might want to ask. We've got about 15 minutes left. But one thing that really struck me in Robert Tiersek's keynote was a Marshall McLuhan quote, and a new medium is never in addition to an old one, and the idea that a new medium comes along and kind of replaces the old one. That doesn't seem to be the case, though. You seem to be, Raja, for example, you seem to be kind of existing in both worlds. It's, I mean, what do you think, first of all, what do you think of that quote, and where do you think we are in kind of the evolution?
A new medium never replaces the old one?
It says a new medium is never in addition to an old one, in the sense that it always replaces an old one.
You're pulling me back to my philosophy degree here. I don't really think about it that much. I think for us it's as a commercial entity, we follow the eyeballs, we follow the dollars, and I think and try to do innovative things along the way and to build great products for our customers. What became obvious to me a couple years ago is that if we're building a content business where video is at the core of it, it didn't make any sense to do that just online. There's, I think, a false belief in the younger internet community, at least there was, that wow, this is really just going to replace television and it's going to be gone. As we know, it's been true since the beginning. Whatever the number is, 80% of the online video revenues or something like that come from television content online. This is a medium, television, that's under pressure to evolve, which I'm thankful for because it was getting kind of stayed. It's time for it to evolve. It's time for it to improve, and I think this type of pressure is forcing larger companies to innovate, which is great. But there's no point building a publishing brand that's publishing video content without being in both media, in my opinion.
I disagree.
Yeah. Well, I mean, and so I look at it as, they're, I guess, two different things. We treat them very differently. We don't just shovel our content from one to the other, as I talked about earlier. But running a media business today where video is a key part of it and not being somehow connected to that large screen in the living room, to me is a mistake.
Anybody else have any comments on that?
I mean, I think the screen is going to come naturally to the living room anyway. I think what's going to happen is that rather than have to push internet programming to television before, and made a one-hit, cash transfer for that. But I think primarily, you're going to find within 12 to 24 months where people are just going to be watching the internet on their television, and we don't need a TV station to carry the programming. We just want to be able to control the ad dollars around it.
Again, think of it from a commercial point of view. I don't care. I'm building brands that engaging with the audience. I'll get to that screen however the consumers want me to get to that screen. Today, that's cable and satellite. That might change. I'm not rushing to put all my stuff on Apple TV exclusively. Why would I? It's like 0.0%, 1% of Canadians have it. It's not that exciting.
But as of Thursday, right, in the U.S.,
yes.
It's all over, right? They've just, basically the federal government, the FCC in the U.S. has killed net neutrality. So you're going to have tiered, you're starting to start paying again. We're going back to 1950 or whatever, and we're starting onto the next level. And it's we're going to look back as the golden time when we could do whatever we wanted on the net and we didn't have to pay extra and all those sorts of things. It's changing so rapidly, and we talked about 2 years ago that if 10% of the television viewing audience went online to watch videos, it would shut down the net. And it's sort of happening. I mean, we're having, all the stuff we hear from Time Warner Cable in the US, and they're actually looking to Canada and some of the stuff that's happening at Rogers and Bell with the throttling. And I was talking to a CRTC person yesterday and saying, when are you guys going to stop this throttling? It's a $700 box, pull it out. Well, there's people that are, and I'm like, absolutely. I want a second tier, right? I want to be able to pay $50 a month, but I want unlimited speed onto my phone when I'm in Manhattan. I can't make calls in Manhattan on my phone.
Well, that's because you're with AT&T.
Because I'm with AT&T, and I call AT&T every week. I'm like, what are you going to do about this? And they're like, well, we're adding more towers. And now we're moving to, LTE, and it's all gonna expand, but someone's got to pay for it. So when you're in the U.S., they're like, well, someone has to pay for it. And in Canada, we're sort of, well, we should regulate that. So, I mean, we've got a lot of big things that are coming down the pipe, and you can sort of see the shift. And yesterday, I talked to someone who's sold their first product to Netflix in Canada and the U.S., and they're like, you know what, they pay really well. And I heard someone say earlier that Netflix is, the broadcasters should be worried. And I was like, don't worry about Netflix. And now I sort of have got to go and re-look at that. Because if they are paying as much money as I'm hearing they're paying, the broadcasters are going to be in a serious thing, because people are just going to walk in and say, well, yeah, you can be my first window, but we've got all these other windows that are willing to pay, and you can't have all the rights. And it's a serious problem. The number one thing I hear from producers when we sort of act as a client is that they're like, well, how come the broadcasters are taking all of the rights and they're not doing anything with them? And we spent 3 months putting together a giant spreadsheet with 2 MBAs working on it to show a Canadian production company, to show a broadcaster that there was $150,000 that they were missing out on, and they were like, we're not interested. $150,000 in Canada is like saying $1.5 million in the States. For something that, so we've got lots of things to move forward. It's a positive and exciting time, but at the same time, there's lots of steps that we have to go over in order to make it all work for us. And you can see the shift happening, and it's great, but it's going to be a difficult time, no question. And that's my positive message for today.
How, excuse me. I mean, how do you make your decisions when there is so much uncertainty? When you're looking at a 2-tiered model in the States, when you're looking at for example, last year everybody was talking about 3D. This year everybody's talking about tablets. And
yeah, what happened with 3D? What was that? Really?
I'm
like,
using
who really
it right
on
now.
that bandwagon?
Well, Colbert Lepage is doing it at the Met, so
yeah.
I think the issue on how content producers, so the audience here is largely people who get up every day and try to make great shows, is that we have to be reminded constantly, to Raj's point, that what made AMC a hit network? It was Mad Men. What made Comedy Central a 2-time hit network? South Park and The Daily Show. Content is king. What made My Damn Channel? It was You Suck at Photoshop.
Distribution is queen.
Whatever. I'm talking about the people in this room. What they need to be doing, in my mind, is, again, to Raja's point, on the one hand, you have, a television system, what Mark Cuban said, what's the future of TV? It's TV. Everybody's bought those big screens. We all want to watch that yummy stuff, the Super Bowl, whatever. Super Bowl physical attendance was down this year, viewing attendance way up. So the TV set is there in the home, but you're going to watch all sorts of stuff. So as producers, you kind of have a responsibility, as far as I'm concerned, to fool around with this stuff, which is what the people I work with do. I mean, I spend half my time making traditional feature films, TV series, because that's what I know and that's where I come from. But I spend half my time making this other stuff, and I don't make a ton of money on it, but I feel like that's what I need to be doing, because sort of, well, 1, it's really fun, and 2, it's where the younger ideas are, and 3, it's where the opportunity break out and to make a network. Like if you can make one of these hits for an emerging network, My Damn Channel or Heavy or whatever, you can make an enormous difference.
But, I mean, it does seem like you almost have to make one of those hits. But what about all the other stuff, all the other investment you have to make? And, I mean, this is a large outlay of investment, of cash. And it's really a bit of a crapshoot for a lot of these producers. I mean, is the key partnering with?
Crapshoot for what producers?
Well, it seems like if you are going to be developing for a lot of different platforms, or if you're going to be experimenting in a lot of.
You're saying that those shows that you saw of mine were kind of crapshoot.
No.
No, I know. I get a bit confused, because last year they had, a great panel here of young people that said basically all us old guys don't know anything, and it's true. I mean, there's no question. They're all making a ton of money online. Not all of them, but I know lots and lots of kids who are like 16, 17, 18 that we got a bigger problem. They're never going to come into the TV business. It's now aging, right? They'll come in because they might like it, but the really talented ones, the ones that we want in the TV business, they're never going to come in. They're making like 10 grand a month on YouTube. And everyone's like, oh no, there's only a few of them. There's not. Trust me.